If I could only figure out how to get my team motivated.
We are never going to get this project done on time.
Oh my God, my payroll numbers are insane. Why are we having all this overtime?
Do you have these or similar employee problems? Do you feel like some of your employees are just there for a paycheck? Tired of recruiting, interviewing, onboarding, and training just to find out you must do it all over again? Then it's time for you to find out how to have outrageously awesome employees. Sit back, buckle up, and get ready because we're about to drop a knowledge bomb on you. Please welcome to the mic the host of the show, the man who puts the human in human resources, the 007 of team building, the emperor of employee engagement, Randy Starr.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of How to Have Outrageously Awesome Employees. Today we have a special guest, Cathy Cook. Cathy is with the Kennedy Training Network, and she is the Executive Director of Training and Development. Cathy, how are you today?
I'm great, Randy. How are you today? I'm
awesome, thanks. We really appreciate you taking time to spend with us. Cathy has a really awesome background, so I'm really looking forward to this. So just so everybody can get to know you a little bit better, if you would, tell us a little bit about your background, what you've done, and then we'll go from there.
Sure, Randy. Well, I've worked in the hotel industry for 35 years. I may not have looked like I've worked in the hotel industry for 35 years, but I have. And I started off in select service brands like Best Western, Howard Johnson's, and Days Inn, all in the front office. And then I went to work for Marriott. And I worked for Marriott International for 27 years. I worked for 6 different properties for Marriott. I started off in night audit as a night audit supervisor. And then I worked my way up to front office manager. But I also worked for other departments while working for Marriott. So I worked for housekeeping, and I worked for room service. And I also worked for reservations. And while working for Marriott, I also had the great opportunity to task force for about 20 different properties around the country.
Wow.
And in task forcing, what that means is that you get to work at a different property in different departments and running their hotel. So it was quite interesting doing that. So sometimes it ranges from small properties to large properties. And then I also worked for Marriott headquarters for 19 years in the learning and development area. In working for Marriott headquarters, I also was able to open hotels and acquisitions for large hotels and small hotels. Some of them were the Gaylord properties and the Grand Lakes properties in Orlando. And then I also managed the property management system and the Marshall reservation systems. And I did some instructor-led training as well. But now I work for Kennedy Training Network, and working for Kennedy Training Network, I get to train on topics for hospitality and guest service excellence, hotel sales and catering sales and reservation sales, front office upselling, and profit optimization. And I also do telephone, hotel email-based mystery shopping for all hotel brands around the world. And I do conference speaking as well. So it's really a lot of fun, and I get to do hospitality training. So I absolutely love hospitality.
Kennedy Training Network has been around for a while. How long have they been in business?
Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very well-known organization. I can remember hearing about Kennedy Training Network years ago. They focus mainly on hospitality. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. So, wow. So 35 years in all those different brands with a big chunk of it with Marriott. That's just tremendous. I think Kennedy Training Network made a good pick. I mean, that's awesome experience.
Thank you for saying that, Randy.
Yeah, that's just phenomenal. I mean, all the different departments, and I have done task forcing myself, and what an amazing experience.
Yeah, I remember one property was the San Francisco Moscone Marriott, and when I walked out to their front desk, I remember I took a couple of my desk clerks. I worked at the San Ramon Marriott at the time, and I took two of my desk clerks from there, and I also had 6 other desk clerks from several other Marriotts that were joining me on that task force. So I was running the shift at that time.
Wow.
And I had the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Yeah, 600 rooms, and they were all shares checking out.
Oh my God.
So that was 2 people in each room, and they were all coming to settle their incidentals.
Oh my
So
God.
I remember the 2 desk clerks that had never done task force before. When I walked out, there were 18 terminals. Now, I was just a little overwhelmed myself, thinking, oh my God, 18 terminals, Lord, this is a really big front desk.
Yeah.
But they had expediters in the lobby, which meant they had the guests expedited up to there was a big, bank line.
Right.
And so they had the guests expedited up to the desk clerk. So it went really smoothly. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Everybody was checked out, quickly. So it was really amazing how quickly it all went.
That's crazy. 18 different terminals.
18 different terminals.
So
Yeah.
for those who may not comprehend that, that's like 18 different lines of people, basically.
Yes.
Even
yes.
though they're all from one line, like you said, the bank line that goes around.
Yes. And I'm used to, supervising and being in the middle.
Right.
And trying to listen to what's going on.
From all of them.
Because I, want to be able to help them if they need assistance. Well, obviously, I can't listen to 9 people to the left and right of me.
Right.
So I can only listen to like 2 or 3 people, as I'm hoping and praying that they're okay, down there towards the end. So I had to put the strongest people. I was like, okay, you're gonna have to be okay down there.
That's crazy. That's right. I mean, I worked in a hotel, 354 rooms, and they had maybe 6 or 7 terminals.
Right.
So the Moscone Center is enormous. I remember I was in Vegas. I can't remember which property it was. I think it was Bellagio, and walked into the lobby, and it was similar to what you're describing. And I just thought to myself, I was on a GM conference, and I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh. There was like 7 front desk managers working, and all these supervisors and all these front desk folks. I was like,
exactly.
I was very appreciative of my smaller hotels at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So with all that experience and all those different properties, what is it? I mean, training is obviously your hot spot. What about that makes you get up in the morning and do it again?
Well, a funny story I'd like to share with you.
Sure.
I had a director of human resources, and it was when I worked at the Marriott's Mountain Shadows. When I worked there, she called me into her office and she asked me, Cathy, what is it if you wanted to improve upon? What is it that I can help you improve your skills on?
Wow.
And I said, well, Jane, I said, I can't seem to conduct a meeting in front of people. I have difficulty with my public speaking skills. I do really well at sitting down and conducting a front office meeting, sitting down. But when I have to stand up in front of my team, I forget what my agenda is. I really would like to be able to train my associates on topics and not forget what I have to say. I'm really good at one-on-one coaching, sitting down, but when I have to stand up and have to train on something, I can't remember what I have to say. I forget what I have to say. I just go blank. I even though I'm really comfortable with my team, I can't remember what I have to say. I get nervous standing up. Is there something you can do to help me with my confidence? So she sent me to this 40-hour facilitator class, and it really helped me.
Wow.
Yes, 40 hours. It was a lot of money she put into me. Yeah. And ever since then, I have been passionate about instructor-led training, and I can speak in front of others. And also another thing is Toastmasters.
Oh, yeah.
I have been a member of Toastmasters International for 16 years. I absolutely love Toastmasters, and I'm an advocate of Toastmasters International. That keeps me fresh with my public speaking skills. I do Toastmasters speeches almost at least once every other month. So I think that's incredibly important with your career and staying fresh and being able to do instructor-led training. Because I did e-learning training for a long time working for Marriott headquarters, and I think that it's really important to stay fresh with your instructor-led training.
That's awesome. That was 40 hours. And what was your position at the time when she did that?
I was a front desk manager.
Wow. That was an investment.
Yes.
And that person had no idea what that would lead to.
Well, at the time when I first transferred to that property, I had transferred as a rooms controller. And I basically eliminated my position when I got to that property because we had a program called First 10 at the Marriott. And I felt that the program that we had there didn't work for a resort. That meant that you had to check in the guest within the first 10 minutes.
Right.
So it would either the bellman or the front desk clerk took the guest and checked the guest in into the property management system.
Right.
The guest within the first 10 minutes was your guest, and you took that guest from the initial walk in the door to the property management system and to their room. Right. And it just didn't work for a resort.
Right.
And there were too many rooms controllers, and all the senior front office associates were in the back doing rooms control, and you really needed them out in the front desk. Yeah. Taking care of the guests. So I said, you know what, the rooms controllers need to be on the desk, not in the back. Right. So I said, as a rooms controller, we don't need rooms controllers. They need to be on the desk. One rooms controller, because they had like 5 rooms controllers. Yeah. So I said, you need one rooms controller and the rest need to be on the desk. Well, I basically went to my resident manager and said, you need to eliminate the rooms controllers here. Right. Yeah. He said, okay. Yeah, I eliminated my position when I transferred there.
Well, the resort check-in is completely different from a standard downtown business type property.
Right.
Everybody's checking into a resort has 9,000 questions to ask.
So basically, that's when my director of human resources said, you know what, you really are looking at things from a business perspective. And what can we do to help you with your career?
That was phenomenal. What would you say is the greatest accomplishment that you've had in your career?
The greatest accomplishment. I would say when I worked in San Francisco, I worked at a Marriott, and I implemented a program for certified trainers.
Okay.
And at that property, I instilled a program called Designated Trainers. And for what I did was I implemented the program so that once I had a designated trainer, I would pay them $1 extra an hour for when they were doing the training. And my team of designated trainers, they would have a specific associate that they would be training, and they would work with that specific associate. And when that specific associate was trained, fully trained, and we would have meetings, the designated trainers would have meetings, and they would work together with the team of designated trainers to benchmark with each other as to how the training was going with the team,
Right.
and walk through their processes and checklists and methods and best practices to see how things were going with each trainer and trainee. And what ended up happening was, after having meetings once every 2 weeks, we would find out what the best practices were, and things would improve over time. And after a year, we ended up moving up our associate opinion survey, which we would take every year. 11 points were increased.
Wow.
On our associate opinion survey.
Wow.
From 1 year to the next.
That's huge.
Yeah, it was really huge.
Unreal. So, what do you think, or what would you do? What do you do to help your employees grow? And we understand that you train them. I mean, outside of training, what would you do to help employees grow?
To help employees grow. Well, I think mostly is coaching. To find out what skill sets an employee is lacking, and
Right.
coaching them to their next level.
Okay. So, give us an example of where you've helped an employee, and this may just piggyback right on the coaching piece, where you've helped an employee overcome a particular challenge.
Well, recently, I would say one of the headquarters associates was having trouble with her facilitation skills, and I helped her with some of the techniques of her facilitation skills.
Right.
And I suggested that she videotape her facilitation skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that videotaping yourself when you're not sure of yourself, I think that videotaping yourself and your facilitation skills is key.
Yes.
I also think that getting feedback from others that haven't seen you present before is a way to get, because someone who's constantly seeing you present is not a way that you're going to, someone that sees you present all the time, but getting someone else to see you present is going to help you. And I told her that would help her, because the topic that she was presenting was the technical topic that someone had seen her present all the time.
Right. So new eyes.
Yes.
Put some new eyes on it.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, mentioned being on video, which is tremendous advice. Anybody who does any type of presentation, even if it's small things like at a hotel where they do the huddles in the morning or in the afternoon, pre-shift huddles where you have to stand up with people that you really know that well. If you want to do better, if you videotape yourself and then watch it, it's very revealing. I guess this is a good thing to say. I will never forget the first time. It was Courtyard Sales Culture 1, I think is what it was. They had a program. This was back in the 80s, late 80s, maybe early 90s. I can't remember, but all the GMs would have to go through this training process. And in this training process, it was for sales training. They would videotape you doing a role play with someone else after you'd gone through the class, and you'd learn all the techniques or how to do this and how to close and whatever it was they were teaching at the time. I will never forget it. I will, to this day. It was the first time I'd ever seen myself on video, and it was the first time I had ever heard myself, other than when I hear myself through my own ears as I speak. Oh my gosh. I was like, I heard myself first before I could see myself because of the way the TV was angled. And I thought, oh my gosh, I sound like Gomer Pyle.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do. For KTN, well, we call it Kennedy Training Network. We call it KTN.
Okay.
For KTN, we do bomb videos.
Right.
Have you ever heard of that company? Okay, well, we do bomb videos for our promotional videos and for our training tips.
Right.
And it's really good to see yourself doing a video because it helps you be able to just be cognizant of yourself and how you are conducting yourself, your movements.
Right.
My husband is very animated. He moves his hands a lot.
Right.
And I'm a little bit more conservative with my hand movement. So when we're together doing the videos, because we're a team.
Right.
He's moving all around and I'm very like this. So it's kind of like he's got something in his, like he's like,
right.
It's really kind of funny to see us together. So I'm like, you need to really calm down because I'm calm and he's jumping all around.
Well, I'm probably more like him. I hate to stand behind a podium. And when I go do any type of training, my hands are everywhere. But I used to tell people after I saw that, and it made a big impression, a huge impression on me. Years later, I would tell people right up front in the beginning, I'd introduce myself, or they'd introduce me. I'd start talking to people and say, okay, for those of you who are old enough to remember, I know I sound like it, but I'm not going to Powell. I did that for years. It was like, that's the impact that seeing and hearing, basically hearing yourself for the first time. So that's a tremendous, I would agree. That's a great tool for anybody. And it's nowadays, that's super cheap. You can just set your phone up on a little tripod and do your presentation and watch it. So super. And obviously, KTN, Kennedy Training Network, is all about training since it's in the name. What type of training do you feel is the most important for employees?
Well, I think that hospitality is the most important myself, but I also think that the customer complaints, is very important. That should be as key for teams to get the customer complaints.
So how to
handle customer
complaints. How to handle it, right? Yes. How to stand there and have someone tell you that you're horrible and your hotel did me wrong and not take it personally.
They need to know how to be able to handle customer complaints.
And it's not easy. It's really not. It's not, especially if you have any level of pride in your work and where you work and your team members, and when someone tells you you've not done well, it can be hurtful.
And leadership training is also very important too. Yep. We don't have a leadership course right now, and I'm going to be developing one for our company.
Oh, great.
But definitely leadership training.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have tons of managers and very few leaders. So it's easy to manage a process, but you need to lead people. And I think, and I just had this conversation earlier, a lot of people think and believe, the more I talk about leadership and the more I try to learn more about leadership myself, because I'm always asking questions. Whenever I get in a position around someone that's a leader, I always like to pick their brain if I can. And I've always done that from way back when I was just started working with Marriott. I've always tried to get around someone. Like I wanted to be, when I was a part-time front desk clerk, I wanted to ask questions of the front office manager. When I was a front desk manager, I wanted to ask questions of the general manager. And I wanted to ask that, I wanted to learn, but leadership is not something you're born with. A lot of people, I mean, yeah, there might be some traits that come naturally to you that you don't have to work on that would fall under the leadership category. But I believe a lot of leaders, if not most leaders, are trained. They might not even realize they're being trained at the time. Like in my instance, I didn't know I was being trained back in the day. It took me years to realize that I was being trained in leadership skills. But that's a great thing. You can train anybody to be a leader if you have the right knowledge to give them. Mm-hmm. So you're in the process of developing a course to hopefully help people who will accept that knowledge and experience to become better leaders.
Yes.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So you, in your current position, travel all over the place, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So what does your typical day look like if you have a typical day?
Typical day. Well, well, of course, check the email first thing in the day. There's webinars that we have to attend, and then we have the mystery shopping that we do for our company as well.
Right.
So there's reports that have to be written for the mystery shopping, and there's group shops that have to be done, and then I travel like 1 or 2 weeks out of the month doing reservation sales training and
Right.
hospitality training.
Right. So you're busy.
Yes, very. Yeah.
And I would assume that, and when you're on the road, doesn't necessarily mean your life stops. You still have work-related things you have to do, even though you're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We have the same. We have to do the shops and
Right.
the writing at the same time.
A lot of people don't understand that. They, all these years in the hotel business, and you get to know guests, hopefully, when you work, especially at the front desk, and you see these repeat guests over and over and over again, and they spend so much time in a hotel. And I remember when I was first started, I thought, oh, what a great life. You live in a hotel 4 or 5 nights a week, and you fly all over the place. And yeah.
You're away from your family.
I know.
You're away from your pets. Yeah.
You're away from comfortable.
Yeah.
You're always outside of your comfort zone when you're traveling, or in my case, I always was. That was one of the main reasons why I quit doing what I was doing, was because of the travel and leaving my family. I was younger then, and my kids were younger. I still have young kids, but who wants to leave that constantly? It takes a special person to manage that, if you will, internally. I couldn't do it. I just said, nope, I'm not going to do that. So, Cathy, let me ask you one more question, and we'll let you get back to work. This isn't for me. This is for our listener. Let's say there's a listener out there that's considering going into HR or going into training or development, or maybe they have already gotten into a training and development position. And what are some words of wisdom or advice you would give them to help them be successful?
Well, I think you really want to be able to lend a helping hand to others. You have to really want others to be successful. And you really want to be able to connect with other people. And I think that it's all about helping other people. If you want to be able to help other people, be successful, then training is what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've always wanted other people to be successful, and I want to see them be successful, and that's what I want.
It's kind of if you think about it in that term, the way you just described it, it's a natural progression for someone in hospitality because it's the spirit of service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's that in hospitality, you want to help people, you want to serve people, you want to make their stay or their day or if you're in food and beverage, their meal, their experience, whatever it is, you want them to have a good one, for it to be better. And
Yeah, it's not about you. It's about them.
Exactly.
It's about their success. It's really not about me. It's about you.
Yeah.
It's about you. I want you to be happy.
It's a great thing, isn't it?
And it's like, and I when I train people, it's like I tell them, I want that guest to be happy.
Right.
You want the guest to be happy. It's not about your happiness. It's about the people on the other side of the counter's happiness.
It's a great feeling. I mean, in all honesty, it's not an easy job. It's not a high paid profession. It's not I guess to some people it could be glamorous because you work in the big shiny hotel. But it's not what a lot of people think. It's very difficult and it's very stressful at times. And it's one of the things that I enjoyed about it the most was it was stressful than not stressful. Stressful than not stressful. I mean, because it's 30 people trying to check in, nothing to do. 30 people trying to check in, nothing to do. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like a roller coaster. And it was just, it kept you on your toes. It kept you busy. It kept you thinking. And it kept you trying. In my case, speaking for myself only, I was always trying to be better on the next person. If I said something wrong, or maybe I didn't like the way I said it, or I didn't feel right about it, then not do it on the next one. This is all in the beginning. And then just try to get better with each person that you dealt with until at one point, and I can't tell you when it happened for me, but it was just like they were my best friend that I've known all my life, and they were coming to spend the night with me.
Oh, you know what, Randy? I grew up on a dairy farm.
Oh.
I milked cows all my life, okay, before I went to college.
Wow.
I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day, okay? Well, actually 5 o'clock in the morning, but in some days I had to get up super early. But I got up very early in the morning.
Right.
Milked the cows twice a day, and I was in the fields every day. So working in the hotel business is easy to me, okay? It's not like working on a farm.
Right.
This is easy to me.
Yeah.
I never thought working 60, 70, 80 hours a week was hard.
Yes.
Because farm work is not easy.
Oh.
Okay.
That is.
You're working in an air conditioning building. Okay. It's not hard.
I had many employees thank me for turning the air conditioning on.
Yeah.
When I worked in Eastern North Carolina, I had some older associates that worked at the hotel, and they got a job there, first time they'd ever worked in a hotel, and they were like, "Oh, thanks for having air conditioning." I'm like, "What do you mean? It's always air conditioned and heated," but it was for them because they'd grown up on a farm, either on a farm, agriculture, or textiles, working in a plant where it was, regardless if there was air conditioning on or not, it was still 100 degrees in the building. So
yeah,
I would agree.
And it's all about, I think it's like working with your family too.
Yeah.
I always felt like the hotel industry was working with your family.
It is.
It's
it should
happy,
be.
Very happy. You know, how could you not be happy working in the hotel industry?
I agree. And I find it very difficult. I mean, I think wherever you work, I mean, I'm prejudiced because of my background, towards hospitality. I mean, because I loved it so much and still do. But how could you spend so much time away from your actual family, away from your home, and not enjoy it and not feel like that was an extended family? I mean,
Yes.
seems to me like that would just be horrible. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to do that. But I constantly speak with people. I mean, we have some clients that aren't hospitality. We have some in healthcare, and we have some that are outside of both of those industries. And it's amazing to me. I'm like, really? You go to work 5 days a week. You're there at least 8 hours a day. In some instances, 10, some instances, 12. And you don't like what you do. I mean, it's a choice. Make a choice. But again, I can't comprehend it. Cathy, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. For those of you who are not connected with Cathy on LinkedIn, she's easy to find. Cathy Cook, Kennedy Training Network. Awesome individual, awesome company. Check them out. If you do have a hotel and you need some training, I would probably recommend them quite highly. I'm sure Cathy would too. So that's a good way to get hooked up with them if you do need some training. I'm going to conclude this episode now. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you are not a subscriber, please do so we can let you know when there's going to be more episodes posted. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks, and bye for now.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Please feel free to contact Randy with any questions about team building or employee engagement issues. Subscribe to this channel so you'll be notified when new episodes are published.